Living. I'm here with Carter from Scottsdale Living as well,
How you doing?
and with Roman, who's the owner of Sapiens Paleo Kitchen.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we're up here at MMR, so we're McDowell Mountain Ranch, where I live. So this is perfect for me, and I haven't been here yet, but I'll definitely bring the family by. So you've got it's a cute, really nice place and a great location. Tell us a little bit about the menu. So it's paleo based, and that's kind of that came from your struggles with your own health or your family, right?
In part, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes, it is a paleo restaurant, and I'm proud to say that we are 100% paleo restaurant. There are several places that offering sort of paleo substitutions, but
Sure.
paleo is not. Paleo is something very, very special. It's not about, as they say, removing bun from your hamburger.
Right.
And there you go. It's not. It's
Yeah.
about looking at every single ingredient
Sure.
to make sure that it's sort of in conformity with paleo concept.
Mm-hmm.
It means that we do have to make our own ketchup,
Sure.
and we do have to make our own mayo. And,
Oh wow! So that's not stuff you can buy from like Cisco or whatever.
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, as everybody probably already knows, I
Mhm.
hope, the industry and specifically, the food processing industry, right, that fills most of the product on the shelves of the grocery stores, is not yet. They're trying to catch up, but they're not
Sure.
there yet. It's just kind of disheartening at times to see ingredients
Sure.
on the list of that, on the label, that ingredients
Yeah,
on the back.
yeah.
I certainly recommend everybody to familiarize themselves with what is it that they're getting. Many things are, although not illegal,
Right.
but
They should be.
should not be
Yeah.
consumed. Should
Right.
not be consumed. One interesting thing about paleo, and this is something that frequently sort of gets confused, is that paleo is not about what cavemen ate.
Right.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a complete. It's not.
It's not the Flintstone diet.
It's not the Flintstone diet in a way. It's a sort of a philosophical base
Mhm.
on our, looking back at our evolutionary biology
Sure.
to look for answers to
Mhm.
some of the questions that we have right now. Why are we as a nation
So
why-
obese. And, yeah.
Why are we so sick? Right.
Right.
Why are we suffering?
Mhm.
And
a huge part of it's inflation, right? I mean, there's a lot of
absolutely,
foods that cause huge
absolutely.
inflammation.
Inflammation has a big effect on some medical conditions and
Sure.
some chronic diseases
Mhm.
that lead us to develop autoimmune conditions,
Right. Yeah.
allergies,
Sure.
cancers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so by looking back, we are finding answers. We're trying to understand that. Well, it took us 2.5 million years to evolve as human
Right.
beings,
Yeah.
and we've been consuming certain diet that's been very consistent.
Mhm.
Our bodies, our digestive systems, adapted for those types
Sure.
of ingredients. And only about 10,000 years ago, we started to consume grains,
Right.
dairy products,
Mhm.
sugars, and processed foods.
Sure.
Right?
So
And which make up right now, 80% of our diet
Yeah.
right now. And with that came, of course, the price.
Mhm.
And despite our fantastic medicine and extremely advanced medicine, we are not very healthy.
Sure.
And so paleo addresses that. Paleo is based, and this is the part that attracts me the most.
Mhm.
It's based on that support of scientific community
Sure.
and research on well-being
Mhm.
and optimal health.
Sure.
Science, nutrition science tells us what certain foods do to us.
Mhm.
So, in fact, it doesn't matter what cavemen ate for
Right.
breakfast.
Yeah.
Was it bacon?
Right. Yeah.
It
Was
doesn't
probably
matter.
wasn't bacon. Yeah.
What does matter is just understanding that not all foods created equally,
Mhm.
and given choices,
Mhm.
some foods maybe shouldn't be consumed at all.
Sure.
If we in it in the long run, if we in it to stay healthy, to
Mhm.
stay focused, energized, to
Sure.
control weight,
Right.
to avoid developing chronic diseases.
Mhm.
It just simply makes sense. There's no downfall to that. There's no shortfall to a following paleo. Paleo it's confusing for some, but I'm here to maybe clarify.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of those
Educate it
things,
for
right?
everybody. Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, we can talk about you know, scientific side of things, but
Yeah.
that's rather boring for some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, so just a little side question. I don't even know if you know
Yeah.
the answer, but I love to travel to Europe. And I always feel like when I'm traveling in Europe, for the most part, their diet is so much healthier than our diet here. Have you experienced that at all, or have you kind of seen that, or not your travels?
I am from Ukraine originally, so I
Okay.
guess, and my wife and partner, Chef Aurore,
Right.
she's
Right.
from France.
Okay. Hence
so
the French cuisine. Yeah, I
It's
love
a
it.
French cuisine. This unique, the one and only, as
Yeah,
I see it, unless somebody could prove me otherwise. There aren't any French paleo restaurants.
Yeah, no, it's not. I haven't seen a ton on Yelp.
In
So,
the U.S.
yeah,
In the
yeah.
U.S. Right? You know, because combining those two creates some natural conflicts, if you will.
Sure.
You know, French cuisine is certainly relies on heavy use of
Yeah, yeah.
dairy products.
Sure. A
Heavy
lot of
use
cream sauces and
grains,
sauces.
right?
Yeah.
Breads,
Right.
cheeses, all of these things that that are a big part of it. But yet there's a lot of similarity, a lot of commonality, a lot of similarities
Sure.
in those two.
Sure.
And both of them share, at least philosophically, they share the fact that food have to come whole,
Right.
unprocessed, must be cooked.
Sure.
Of course, presented beautifully.
Yeah.
It's the second side of things. But first and foremost, it has to be fresh. You know, French don't believe in processed food.
Right. Yeah. They're not using a lot of
you know,
box and canned stuff, and right.
Absolutely, and it's, well, I guess, you know, disappointed that the new generation
Sure.
is certainly embracing this. You know, what, you know, I guess you can describe it as this Americanized
Yeah.
fast food
Yeah.
type lifestyle. You know, the standard American diet, oddly enough, defined as SAD, S-A-D,
Yeah.
SAD, right?
Yeah.
Is
I like that.
conquering the planet, because it's fast, it's easy,
Yeah.
it's tasty.
Well, until there's
It's
more
tasty,
options like
right?
yours, it's going to be difficult to overcome that. But
It
you know,
simply makes sense. It simply
Right.
makes sense when you're on the go to grab something
Right.
available to you, and it sort of removes people from kitchens.
right.
It clearly it's more productive for you to just focus on your work 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we love it, and it's
But then
awesome.
you pay for it in the long run. Right?
But it certainly, at the same time, sends you a message that it's okay not to cook. It doesn't even matter if you know where the food comes from.
Right. Yeah, it's scary.
And that sort of, I think, develops a monster in the process, because people, the further they remove from food,
right.
understanding where it comes from, understanding what it does to you, how does it support your needs,
Sure.
because our body, it has needs, biological needs. You know, body doesn't care, you know, what it tastes like, how much it costs.
Right.
Your body needs vitamins, minerals, enzymes. It needs support to do what it does best.
Sure.
You know, it's our bodies are machines. I mean, they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to do is help them a little bit
Right.
to do what they do best. You know, you need to help yourself to be the best version of yourself. This is what paleo addresses.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It
excellent.
promotes self-healing.
Sure.
It you know, restores digestive health.
Mm-hmm.
It reduces risk of autoimmune diseases, cancers, allergies.
Mm-hmm.
It corrects imbalance between this omega-6, omega-3
Sure.
to promote optimal heart health.
Mm-hmm.
It restores proper hormonal functioning, right? Signaling. This
What
is
is
a
a-
subject that's being discussed frequently right now, like your insulin sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, insulin resistance is what we developed after overconsumption of sugars,
Sure.
processed sugars and processed flours.
And the diabetes and all the long-term effects
Diabetes
go
is a
with it.
direct result of that. You know,
Right.
absolutely. So, paleo, in effect, effectively addresses that issue. Paleo reverses effects of diabetes.
Sure.
In fact, you can completely reverse diabetes by following proper diet, which is removing sugars, removing processed ingredients,
Right.
consuming lots of vitamins, because paleo endorses vegetables,
Sure.
many kinds. There's carrot and broccoli is not the only vegetables that's left.
Yeah, yeah.
There are hundreds and hundreds.
Seems like it sometimes.
Seems
Yeah.
like it sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Those are wonderful, but again, there's fantastic product out there.
What's a signature dish for the paleo that you're serving?
Paleo is not about a specific dish, right? I just want to remind you, right? So it's not defined by a specific.
Sure.
You can prepare anything, and we are demonstrating daily
Sure.
that you can take classic dishes and you can sort of tweak them into a healthier versions.
Sure. So you're almost making a spin on the classics so that it's not
Absolutely.
killing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Right?
For example, I think our achievement as a food company, as a restaurant, is we bake here, and something that very challenging for paleo restaurants is to deal with the fact that there isn't a bread available to purchase that could be called paleo, because most breads, including artisan and no matter how fancy it is, they're all based from grains. It's a processed flour, bleached, unbleached processed flour, which is a sort of the least healthiest form of starch. It's rapidly, it's a sugar, right?
Sure.
It becomes sugar. It raises your insulin. It affects your process. It doesn't allow you to sort of effectively burn your fat energy that we all have, that our bodies sort of designed to work on. But we retrain them to live off of sugar energy, and that's where some of the problems come from, right? But so bread was a big deal. We bake. We don't use grains at all.
Right.
Our
in
bread
any
is
dish, none at all. Wow,
nothing,
that's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Nothing, not a single thing. So our bread is made from tuber and root crop flours.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, and it may sound, weird, but
Sure.
You can make flour from, let's say, maca radish,
Right.
which is could be converted into flour, right? You could use. There's
So
all
what about
sorts
like
of
almond
roots
flour? Is that a no-no?
No,
or
it's
is that-
no. Almond
Okay.
flour is great,
Okay.
fantastic. We because we obviously open to public, and our concern is nut allergies.
Yeah, for the nuts.
So
yeah.
at home, we could use almond flour from time to time. In fact, we have a dessert. It's a French classic. It's called clafoutis, and clafoutis is made with almond flour. But we obviously advise
Sure.
customers that have nut allergies not to. So we wanted to come up with products that have no allergies at all, so that everybody can consume.
Sure.
And for that reason, we don't use almond flour, but it could be used. To
Yeah,
answer your question.
absolutely.
Something that we also, there's a little bit of concern that some people use too much of almond flour, and that creates an imbalance of its own, right?
Sure.
Nuts are wonderful. They're sources of healthy fats and a lot of good nutrients, but they contain some ingredients that in high quantities could sort of
Sure.
also
So it's
promote
moderation,
some fat.
all
For
things in
example,
moderation.
lactin. Lactin is an ingredient, and one of the primary causes not to consume a lot of the grains.
Right.
A lot of because grains contain natural defense mechanism. It's called lectin. Lectin, and I encourage viewers to do your own study and maybe take a look.
Sure.
Google it,
Absolutely.
as they say,
Yeah,
right?
of
Google
course.
it
Absolutely.
and see what scientific and even medical community says about lectin and its effects on, as we discussed earlier, inflammation.
Sure.
How it promotes what they call low-grade inflammation. Low-grade inflammation over time, capable of reprogramming your immune system to attack its own.
Sure.
And this is where we get a number of digestive issues that link to autoimmune conditions.
So this is obviously really dear to your heart. Let's
Very much
talk
so.
a little bit about the restaurant. So I mean, it's so you're taking that health consciousness in the paleo, and you're bringing it to your menu
Yes.
exclusively, right?
Absolutely,
So-
exclusively. Yeah,
right.
good word. Yeah. What brought us into this? We wanted to open a traditional French restaurant. But after owning a French restaurant in Surprise called Vogue Bistro, which we sold 2 years ago, we wanted to open up a French restaurant, but we had sudden sort of middle-aged health issues.
Sure.
That,
Yeah, absolutely.
as I found out, many people would probably share.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends certainly.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So I get
And
it.
so we wanted to. I'm not afraid to say it. I've developed something that's called chronic gastritis.
Okay.
It's a sort of a imbalanced acidity that causes your stomach to sort of eat away at its own walls, right? This is a condition that could lead to some serious problems.
And it's a diet-based condition. That,
ulcers, cancers, and things like that, right?
Sure.
And something that's called reflux,
Yep.
GERD, right? Something that people call it heartburn.
Yeah.
And interesting fact, if you look at, if you watch a news, typical commercials nowadays are antacids or heartburn medicine.
Absolutely.
And that sort of tells you the level of presence of that condition in our lives. And some people think that it's no big deal.
Right.
Well, it is a big deal.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because it's a sort of it's a dysfunction that will lead to serious problems.
Sure.
And it has to do with your diet.
Right.
With your diet, it has to do with imbalanced nutrition. When you consume a lot of processed food, and people think that they have variety of things, but when you get up in the morning and have your cereal, and then proceed to having a sandwich, and the Subway supplies this generous amount of bread, and then you come back
That's a good
and have a dinner.
Amount,
And you're going to have a dinner, and you have your pasta,
Right.
you're going to have your rice, and usually you copious amounts, right? We tend to eat too much of it.
Sure.
Well, if you're going to look at all of these products, you haven't that same thing.
Yeah.
You have in your grain, your processed grain.
Exactly. The whole diet, the whole
The
thing.
entire diet, right? So 90% of your product, your calorie intake coming from that carb. That's not good.
Right.
That's not how we designed to function.
Sure.
What about vitamins? What about minerals? Where do we get those? What about fats? We haven't even discussed that, right?
Sure.
Because paleo encourages consumption of quality dietary fat. We made out of fat. Our cells, our hormones, everything has a presence of fat. We absolutely need it. So we need to consume it, not run away from it, but we need to actively consume dietary fat. We need to understand what sources of fat are good. Clearly, not all of them made equally as well.
Yeah. So that big tub of margarine at home that's not a good fat.
That's gonna lead to some serious inflammatory condition.
Right.
Your heart is at risk. Your heart, right? Paleo promotes. We here at Sapiens Kitchen, we use avocado oil. We use high quality olive oil. And coconut oil, organic coconut oil. These three sources are probably the best sources of your vegetable-based dietary
now,
fats.
what about is it ghee? It's like that's a big fat that's normal in a paleo
Fantastic
diet,
fat,
right?
yeah. So ghee is also known as clarified butter.
Right.
So ghee is the method of ghee production is by exposing it to butter to their high temperatures. They remove dairy solids.
Right.
And remainder is basically pure fat, or something that's known as short chain fatty acids.
Okay.
So what makes it's a fantastic source of fat, by the way. It doesn't require digestion, right? It's beneficiary of that short chain fatty acids are friendly gut bacteria that produces vitamin K and produces butyric acid out of that natural fat.
So it balances your stomach.
It powers up our digestive system.
Right.
It produces vitamins that are so essential to us, like vitamin K. Perhaps some of the viewers know what it is, but K2 specifically is responsible for calcium delivery.
Sure.
Without it, your body doesn't know where it's needed most. And it may get deposited into some soft tissues.
Sure.
Creating a serious problem.
So when you and your wife, and it's Aurora, right?
Aurora.
When you sat down together and you came up with this concept and started developing a menu, so you were in kind of uncharted territory. I mean, there's no other menu to look at and pick up from and say, we want to do this and this. You had to create the whole thing from scratch.
Yes, everything was created from scratch. It took us about a year to develop bread recipes.
Yeah.
Our bread is, we wanted it to taste like a great bread.
Right.
Not sort of compromise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not a paleo
And that's the hardest
compromise.
part for some
This
people.
is the hardest part, right? We want people to enjoy it,
right,
without really thinking twice that it's a if it's a healthy enough.
Sure.
Or not,
So do you have a healthy pasta yet on the menu? Something that's doable?
We don't have pasta, but
Right.
just we typically tend to we tend to work with a lot of vegetables
Sure.
as a sort of a substitute. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we serve lots of vegetables here,
Mhm.
right? So by playing with textures,
Mhm.
cooking techniques,
Sure.
maybe some seasonings and spices,
Mhm.
we create that fantastic palette where you don't need,
Sure.
you're not craving rice,
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
you're not
Yeah.
craving
the carb.
carb,
in the
right?
meal, right?
Because you get in plenty.
Mhm.
They're just coming from a better source,
Sure.
right? And certainly we use a grass-fed meats,
Mhm.
for example, that are so much more nutritious.
Sure.
And
And was
healthy.
that all really hard to source? I mean,
Not some things are.
Okay.
Some things are. Interestingly enough, I just today read a comment from one of the customers who said we in 2 months of being in business we run out of chicken at some
wow.
point,
Right.
and it is because our supplier couldn't deliver. We
Sure.
only use free range, good quality product,
Mhm. Right.
hormone free,
Right.
antibiotic free.
The real deal.
The real deal.
Yeah.
And the customer made a comment like, "How can you run out of chicken?" And you're right.
Yeah.
That's impossible, right?
Right.
But yet, if you source in product
Yeah.
from certain places and you rely on quality,
Mm-hmm.
this is a fact of life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes we may not be able to source a grass-fed calf liver
Mhm.
for our liver and onion dish.
Right. Right.
And we're not going to go and buy one.
defeat
We
the
want to
whole
stay
purpose,
true
right?
because
Yeah.
of defeat the purpose. Because cutting corners is not worth it.
Right.
We'd rather tell people,
It's not on the menu
It's
tonight.
not on the menu today.
Yeah. But
and-
that's actually a great answer, right? Because I mean that solidifies what you're doing.
I
and
think
how
I
true
think
you
I
are to
wish
your system.
some other places would have the same attitude.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not worth. Of course, it's tempting. What happens in the kitchen is a mystery for
Right.
most people.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you that. Yeah, it's tempting to cut corners.
Sure.
Why do
You
we
run
have
down
to
to
do
Costco
something?
and buy 50 pounds of chicken.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why do
Right.
that? But yet, we wanted to make this commitment. We felt that impact of paleo on our health
Right.
past year was so significant
Sure.
that we wanted to share that with
I love
everybody
it.
else.
It's great.
We
Absolutely
feel
love
that
it.
it's just it delivers what it promises more so than any other
Sure.
dietary lifestyles.
Yeah.
It doesn't. What's beautiful about paleo? It doesn't restrict your calories.
Right.
You can enjoy your food enough to be
Sure.
to not to feel hungry, right?
Right.
You
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
to function. It's all about the sources. It's all about what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And to summarize it, paleo is about consuming lots of vegetables
Right.
of high quality,
Mhm.
organic preferable,
Sure.
as much as you can. It's about consuming proteins that come from natural source,
Mhm.
grass-fed
Good clean proteins.
beef,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Your free-range chicken,
Mhm.
pasture-raised
Sure.
animal, right? Seafood, wild-caught seafood
Mhm.
of high quality, or if you know the sources of your farm-raised product and it's a high-quality
Sure.
product, certainly it could be a good alternative as well. So that gives us that omega,
Right.
this wonderful omega-3. And then comes your nuts, seeds,
Mm-hmm.
some fruits,
Mm-hmm.
right? And vegetables themselves could be divided in
Sure.
several categories.
And then your fats. So the paleo's got a lot of
Absolutely,
fat-based
dietary
to it.
fat is
Right.
a must, right?
Mhm.
You want to consume enough of it to support. It's a clean burning energy.
Right.
You will, you don't need a lot of it, to
Sure.
feel
Sure.
the balance. And then your body does what it does best.
Yeah.
It
What it was built to do, right?
It
Yeah.
will self-heal.
Mhm.
Interesting. Even things like I usually tell my customers that certain ingredients that paleo discourages to consumptions, like grains, like
Mhm.
legumes, which is your beans,
Yeah, yeah.
peanuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Believe it or not, dairy products.
Mhm.
Your milk. Some yogurts are of a poor quality product,
Sure.
full of hormones, full
Right.
of sugars, which is a big issue with
Mhm.
dairy products. In some cases, sodium, excessive amount of
Just
sodium.
through the roof, yeah.
So gums or emulsifiers or hydrocolloids is what they call
Sure.
them. They should have no presence in those products. These are
Right.
not foods. They address the issues that sort of
Storage and longevity and
benefits
all that
manufacturer,
Yeah.
storage, texture.
Yeah, color.
How do you take product that's low fat,
Right.
and how do you make it taste creamy and sort
Yeah.
of satisfying?
And fattening. How do you make it
Fattening.
taste fattening? Yeah.
Let's bring some carrageenan
Right.
or some other highly inflammatory
FD
products
and
that
red, yellow, number 5 or whatever.
the list goes on.
Right.
The list goes on. They got really super creative.
Yeah.
And it's certainly it's a fantastic solution for producers. But what's in it for us? It's unclear.
Yeah.
In fact,
Well, it's pretty clear it's not in it for us. Yeah, it's not for
the
us.
evidence suggests that it's not.
Right.
The evidence suggests that many things that are a common part of the ingredients
Sure.
are not foods at all.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, many of them even anti-nutrients where they take away.
Sure.
They don't contribute.
Yeah.
Right. So.
So a lot of it is also we produce so much corn, right? So let's put corn in everything. I mean, it's
Corn is obsession with corn is
Yeah.
is always
it's
just,
crazy.
surprises me how
yeah.
far
Whole nother show.
Oh, it's in
how
everything.
gross of a
It's
product
right.
it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I usually say first thing, and 97% of corn is genetically modified product.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
Well, have you driven by a cornfield in Kansas? I mean, it's like
I
they're 11
have.
feet tall. and
These
it's
are
like-
endless, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
and
amazing.
they have a perfect yield.
Yeah.
They don't lose a single one.
no, it's all good to go. Yeah.
And that's fantastic, except that what's in it for us. I know a couple of notable things that many of you have seen. This class action, this attorney inviting you to
Oh,
call
yeah.
on the subject of glyphosate or Roundup, right?
Right.
This
yeah.
is because for many years, companies that provide genetically modified products, they were able to sort of influence
Sure,
the government
absolutely.
and politicians to not allow people to bring this type of lawsuits.
Right,
But it was declared by World Health Organization as a human carcinogen,
Sure.
and I think there was a
I've seen
judge
something
judge
about that,
allowed
yeah.
for
Yeah.
and in fact there was a big decision there. I think high dollar.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Which they're going to
settlement
fight and fight and
with
fight. yeah.
some, no, I think it's already settled.
Oh, it's done. Okay, nice,
and,
nice.
And that was on the subject of consequences of exposure to this particular toxin, which is a well-known herbicide, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the claim is that you can when we process it, we remove it, right? But because of such exposure to this toxin,
Sure.
as it turned out, you can't perfectly remove it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
As
Becomes part of the
best
whole
you tried,
thing.
trace amounts of this could
Sure.
end up in your stomach.
Sure.
And this is what the concern is, and how much of it, the quantity of it, does matter, because
Absolutely.
at some point, you could possibly potentially have a risk of developing certain diseases,
Absolutely.
cancers, and things like that. And we're probably going to see more of it in the future, more awareness of it.
Sure.
Because while it delivers certainly on part of
The producers. Yeah, it works well for them. Yeah.
it's a sort of something that we should all be at least concerned
Sure.
or understand what it is, and maybe demand from food companies to provide a better quality or assurance that none of this potentially dangerous chemical end up in our stomachs.
Sure. I think Carter had a question about the name.
Yeah, so the Sapiens name, where did you come up with that whole concept? Was that just the paleo? Or?
That's an easy one, right? So
oh, good. We gave you an easy one today.
reference to our evolutionary biology, our species.
Sure. Homo sapiens.
Homo
Yeah.
sapiens, right? The wise man. Sort of paleo. The reason that paleo calls paleo because it's also a reference to
paleontologist
Paleolithic
Lithic, yeah, there you go.
time in our history. That when we were at our best,
Sure.
I should say, right?
Yeah.
Before modern, before modern technology comes in and
Yep.
agriculture
Yep.
and processed food as a result, and that's a reference to that.
Sure.
It's a philosophical reference to that.
So you-
Sapiens only kind of shows that
Yeah, picks it up.
connectedness,
Absolutely.
connectedness
The human
with
connection.
with that side of business.
Right.
We are French restaurant, we have many classics, including escargot and even rabbit stew.
I was looking at the menu; it looked amazing.
So you don't have to be broken to dine here. I assure you that we'll deliver on the textures and flavors, and you wouldn't even know the difference.
And this is a BYOB, right? So you can bring your own bottle of wine.
Bring your own bottle of wine. Right. We can serve it for you. Our food is made for wine. Right. Certainly, it's being French. I guess the healthy side of things is a bonus.
Sure.
If you are not on it yet, and just
looking at the reviews, the people love the food. Yeah, everybody loves the food. So.
That's what we want to hear. If somebody wants to sort of bring on this conversation, then we'll certainly engage. Because that's something that we're very passionate about.
Right.
We want to
build.
But
the food speaks for itself as well.
The food speaks for itself. Absolutely. It's not a a hospital cafeteria where.
Although the male cafeteria's got pretty good food, but
they do. Well, I'm talking about it's not something that's sort of all calories written up.
Absolutely.
Because paleo is not about that.
Right.
It's not about calories.
Yeah. Your pictures and your menu looks amazing. It does. Definitely be back for sure. So anyways, this is John and Carter, and we're with Roman. We're at Sapiens. So Tuesday to Saturday, is that 4 to 10?
Tuesday to Saturday, 4 to 10 is we serve dinner. We also have special events and holidays like Mother's Day coming up. May 12th, we're going to be having brunch.
Oh, beautiful.
We're going to have an amazing 3-course menu that our chef, Chilean sea bass. We're bringing some fantastic duck. Not a lot of places do.
Oh yeah, not a lot of duck.
We have this amazing duck from Connecticut.
Sure.
Natural raised.
It's not Donald, is it?
Not Donald. No pets. We made a commitment to serve no pets here. Nothing. I tell you, even our some people sort of, I guess, cringe at that, but a famous French rabbit stew, right?
Yeah.
So.
Which looks
our
delicious.
rabbits are not the things that you see crossing the road on the way home. I want to assure you, I swear, ours is coming from South Carolina. These are, farm-bred, big New Zealand whites.
Right.
These are
They're delicious rabbits.
They're delicious. A rabbit is a they have no names.
Right.
These are not pets. I just want to get it off the table. Right.
Well, let's get it on the table. I'm a big fan of rabbits too.
But what's to like about it is that rabbit is was described as one of the better known meats for humans to eat.
Sure.
It has a
very lean, right?
Very lean. Has no fat. Has very little cholesterol.
Right.
It could be a fantastic dietary choice for men
just
for that.
Right. And it never really caught on in America as much as
never caught on for some reason.
Frequently
used, consumed in Europe and world over, I should say. They're fantastic. Sort of a substitute for the usual chicken and stuff that we tend to eat so much of it, and you just simply need to.
Because we can mass produce it, right? That's why it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you guys, got to check it out. Come to Sapiens. We're right here in McDowell Mountain Ranch. So where are we? We're at Thompson Peak and Franklin, right? No, Thompson Peak and.
So we're about 3 miles east of 101. If you take Franklin right, and we are on Thompson Peak and McDowell Mountain
Road, which is actually Bell as well, right?
It loops around. It becomes Bell. So we're in this wonderful center. It's called Desert Canyon.
Yeah, right next to the elementary school.
Next to the elementary school.
Yeah, perfect.
And we certainly welcome everybody. Healthy dieters or not, or just people looking for fun, looking for good food to try, good French food to try.
Yep.
Bring your wine, bring your single malt if you like.
I love it. So watch out. I got your attention.
That sort of presents, I think, actually good value as well.
Yeah,
so if you have some good wines, I think it's a reasonable alternative to enjoy here. And I know we have specials. Especially on the weekends.
And we'll direct everybody to the website, so we'll put it right on there so everybody can link right
the
back to
website is quite informative. Please go to sapienskitchen.com. My blog has several articles that cover common questions about paleo. Well, like why shouldn't we eat corn, or why should we consume less of it?
Right.
Some of the cases that build against consumption of peanuts, for example. of sugar, which we probably all know,
Oh, yeah.
but not well enough.
Right.
Something tells me, because
Oh yeah, absolutely.
some
It's
people
true.
are just not changing habits. Like, I'll just have that, cake once again.
Yep.
So we talk about that, and we talk about why paleo, why bother,
Sure.
why bother, and hopefully you'll find it convincing. Please make your comments or tell us things that maybe we should consider.
Sure.
We are not. This is not some type of like, we're not stuck on this. We
Yeah,
are
yeah.
evolving. We are
Oh,
learning.
absolutely. Yeah.
We're willing to listen, and I am all over internet and speaking with nutritionists, speaking with anything that could help us to understand more
Sure.
about food. Maybe bringing ingredients that we said that weren't worth consuming, and
Right.
now we change an opinion. It's all about just evolving enough to
Absolutely. Yeah, I love
to
it.
sort of provide people with ingredients that make us better,
Right.
that help us, not
So
take
you
away from
have a
us.
living menu, so to speak. So you're
It's a
constantly
living menu.
evolving and,
Absolutely.
and looking to go in the right direction for making people healthy, but also offering just fantastic, delicious food, right?
Fantastic, delicious food is a good way to say it. We are listening to our customers, and so far we've been so well received.
Right. Right.
Please visit Yelp or
Yeah. Oh, the
even
reviews are great.
Google, right? So
Yeah.
we've seen such fantastic reviews, and thank you if some of you have been here and listening and wrote a review. Thank you for taking time to write, because people write amazing, almost professional
Oh, yeah.
stories,
Yeah.
and I wish I could write that well. Thank you so much, for everybody who has been here, and we welcome our customers to come in and try our food, and let us know how they feel, what they think, and let us know what should we add or take away.
Absolutely.
Some big addition to our menu was sort of a support ketogenic community.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ketogenic diet, a little bit different, similar to paleo in some ways. Mainly pursue its whole ingredients,
Right,
unprocessed food.
Mm-hmm.
But ketogenic diet is about consuming even more dietary fat.
Right.
Like they're focused on dietary fat because in their belief, consuming more dietary fat changes our reliance on
Right. And you
carb
get into
energy.
that keto balance,
Ketosis, right?
Yeah,
State of
ketosis,
ketosis is when your body effectively producing and metabolizing
Right.
ketones as a source of energy.
Sure.
Very simple. So
And it'll tear the weight off, apparently, too, right? Yeah.
fantastic
Yeah.
results. I mean, across the board. If you looking for ways to control weight, ketogenic diet could be a very effective way to start, and maybe stay, a month or two or several
Sure.
months until you start seeing results. And what I do recommend for people at that point is to consider sort of gradually switching to more
Sure.
of a paleo side of things,
Sure.
where you will pick up more vegetables as
Right.
well.
Right.
That's
And
the
it
only
becomes more doable. So it's
then
more
it becomes
long-term.
more doable. Then
Right.
it becomes less stressful.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I eat today? Right?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like, what am I
absolutely.
going to
Yeah,
eat?
it's a tough part, right.
So with paleo, you just have more choices available, and as my personal experience proven, and I've lost 55 pounds. No,
Oh, wow.
50. I'm sorry, not 55. 50
That was a big
pounds,
Easter.
since about a year. It took.
Right.
It was a gradual.
Good for you. Yeah.
And I feel my best.
Right.
I've dealt with my personal health issues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking any medicine that was prescribed to me for life,
Right,
Because
right.
usually
Oh,
when
yeah.
people say no,
Get
you
on
have
the
problems
statins
with
or
your
whatever, yeah.
acidity. Here's your antacids you have to take for the rest of your life. I think proper diet, balanced diet, effectively takes care of that.
Sure.
I wish my doctor would have asked me what did I have for breakfast.
Right.
But I never had that
Yeah,
question posed to me.
absolutely.
It was just this is your diagnosis. This is your 3 pills
Take
to
this
take,
and
I'll see you, in 6 months. And I wasn't satisfied with that answer.
Sure.
I was researching. I was looking around. This is how I came across this wonderful lifestyle.
Yep.
I call it a lifestyle because diets tend to be short-lived.
Yeah.
Paleo is something that you could sustain
Sure.
forever.
Right.
And your family could be a part of it or should be a part of it.
Sure.
And I've yet to find somebody who would say that it didn't work or it didn't
Yeah.
feel right. Most people say I just couldn't keep up with it because,
Yeah. What's a change, right?
where do I
You
go
gotta
eat?
adapt.
Where
Yeah.
do I go eat? So it will require adaptations. It will almost mandatory make you a cook, better
Right.
cook.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will have to do so because you're going to realize how much fun it is to actually go to a fresh market,
Oh, yeah.
buy things, come
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
and make something fantastic. And as you practice, you get so good at it, and then all of a sudden you could be a professional cook in
Yeah.
no time. That's just what happens.
Right.
I've seen people just change their lives,
Sure.
change their lives, their families. So I think it's a great way to balance your work and play, and with addition of this ingredient, this paleo
Yeah.
lifestyle. Highly
it.
recommend. We both, myself and Chef Aurore, who is the driving force behind this restaurant.
Sure.
She's a French chef. We both practice that religiously.
Right.
We make very few exceptions, mainly because we want to sort of serve as a living proof, if
Sure,
you will.
sure, as a model for the whole
As a
concept,
model
right.
for the concept. Because when people ask, well, what do you do? I want to be able to say, that's what we
Yeah.
do. And if you have any issues, if you have problems, or if you have questions, or people sometimes looking for ways to diversify their diet, sometimes it's just not strong enough to, or intimidated
Sure.
with this whole cooking thing, right?
Yeah.
Now I have to go and start looking for ingredients.
Absolutely.
I try to explain to them in a simple way how did we start and how hard it was for us,
Yep.
and how tempting it was to
Oh, to cheat, right? Yeah.
cheat, right? Because the cravings will stay with you
Sure.
for sometimes few weeks.
Right.
If paleo followed correctly, the cravings will go away, and sugar becomes non-food.
Yeah.
You just pass by that aisle with cookies,
Right.
and you have
You're done
no
with it. Yeah.
you have no emotions
Sure.
left, and it is because bodies adapt so wonderfully
Right.
to whatever you give them,
Sure.
and that's what they want after a while,
Totally.
all the time.
Totally.
Right. So I get
Love
up in
it.
the morning and I'm craving vegetables.
Right.
It may sound crazy, but that's what happened after like a couple of months of
Sure.
of having this type of a dietary choices that we do, and I feel fantastic, and I encourage everybody.
There you
to,
go. You can't get a better referral than that. That's
better
fantastic.
infomercial,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So if anybody has any questions, you can certainly write us or call us.
Sure. Or come by and eat. Come by and eat.
Right.
Talk
That
to the
would be-
chef. Talk to Roman. And
Yeah.
And experience the whole thing.
I'd like to be a source of information, and particularly, like, I'd like to encourage people that it's entirely possible to cook food or enjoy food that's healthy and tasty and
Right.
satisfying. Like
Yeah.
it hits the point, because food is not clearly about nutrition,
Right, yeah.
Even though it should
It's
be,
an
right?
experience. It's the whole
But for
thing, right,
us,
yeah.
it's an experience,
Yeah.
and that perfect flavor and perfect bite or wine pairing could produce just
Yeah.
fantastic, this
Amazing
euphoric
flavor.
feeling, right?
Yep.
And so we're all there with you.
Yeah.
We are big, perfectionists
Yeah.
in the department of.
And foodies. You're a foodie.
We're foodies,
Yeah, you're going to a
absolutely. We
restaurant.
travel for food, and
Right.
that's all we do is talk about food. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to sort of combine it all together into this one wonderful way to nourish your body and enjoy while doing it.
Yeah, and I'm so looking forward to coming and eat here, and we really appreciate your time. And
Thank
I
you
mean,
so
it
much.
was great. I mean, tons of information. Again, come to Sapiens. We're here at McDowell Mountain Ranch. SapiensKitchen.com.
Sapiens Kitchen.
Yep. And see Roman and see Aurore. And it's a beautiful facility, beautiful views, and I'm sure you'll love it. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roman.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
viewers.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.